Hey everyone, welcome back to the garden. So we are in a mad rush now suddenly to get our caladiums, our dahlias, and our cannas out of the ground and out of containers because we are in a freeze warning tonight. It just popped up maybe yesterday morning, today's Sunday, or maybe Friday afternoon it popped up that we have a freeze warning tonight. It's supposed to get down to I think 31 degrees, so that's colder than it's been recently. We have had some cold nights recently, down in the 30s. Although we're supposed to get up in the 70s, and I think we're supposed to approach 80 again one day this upcoming week. I was just saying in my last video it was too early to pull the caladiums, but now that it's going to freeze, I feel like I just want to get them out of the ground and get that taken care of. I don't think we're going to do too much else in this video, but you never know. Sometimes it ends up being a mishmash. So come garden with us and let's pull all of our caladiums. So most of the caladiums have kind of been laying on the ground for weeks. And I'll show you what I mean. But now that we're actually going to get an official freeze, that's why we want to pull these out of the ground. Let me turn you around and show you what I mean by lying on the ground. So you see how the foliage is all lying on the ground. Some of it's not exactly dead yet. Some of it is even brand new. This one not so much. So the ones that look like this, hopefully those are salvageable. This one I have no doubt that that's going to be salvageable. Just not sure about that. This is all new to me. I've never tried to salvage caladiums before, so because I want to use these again next year, caladiums, especially the proven winter variety, they can be quite expensive, so that's why I want to try to salvage these. And I think I have 23 total. 20 are from Longfield Gardens and 3 I brought home from the nursery that I work at. So let's see how well they're rooted in. So they kind of look like, I don't know, tiny bulbs, very tiny bulbs. So what I'm going to try to do is all of the one from Longfield Gardens, I'm going to put in this orange bucket and just let them dry out. And the 3 that I brought home from work, since those are different, and I do have the tags for those, I'm going to put those in a different container. So that's it. I have a feeling some of these probably spread too, or like grew new bulbs, if that's what they do. I mean, these things are tiny. So, let's see what my husband's got over here.
Mine are big.
That's a pretty big one. I'm not pulling any of the annuals. But to be quite honest with you, I'll come over here and show you. The dahlias and the peppers and the sweet potato vine here are still okay, although I highly doubt if we leave these out tonight they'll be okay. So I think containers like this is just a light plastic container. We have 2 like this with dahlias in it. I think we're just going to move those into the garage. As you can see, well, first of all, the salvia, which was a new, this was when we did our fall container refresh. We replaced the salvia, so this still looks really good. Dahlia is still really pretty, but it actually has new buds too. So I don't want this to be done just yet, especially because, like I said, we're going to be getting 70 and 80 degree days this week. They can go out onto the patio probably. Well, they'll get a lot of reflected heat from the stones. So that's all we're doing, and I want to go get the ones in our urns because those are from the garden center that I work at too. Those are not Longfield Garden ones, so those I want to make sure that I'm keeping separate. Some of them are much tinier than others. Some of them seem to have developed really, really quickly into very big bulbs. Some of them are just like I showed you, very tiny. Alright, so first, getting rid of the annuals. They're done, and if they're not done already, they will be by tomorrow. Very dry anyway. We do have cabbages to go in here. I'm not going to put those right now, but that's another reason why I want to get rid of the annuals, the summer annuals, because those cabbage go through. They'll go through the winter in these containers until spring. I think what's left of the Longfield caladiums are in front of these New Guinea impatiens, which I feel like we should pull too, but for now we're just going to get the rest of the caladiums out of the ground here, and then we'll talk to you a little bit about what we need to do to store them. Alright, now we're going to get the cannas. They are up in containers in front of our top retaining wall. And these two containers are frost free. This is what the two boxwoods are going to be overwintered in. The one there, and then there's one here. These cannas have gotten massive since we planted them in, oh gosh, I don't know what, May. Okay. For how easy they're going to be to get out of here. But there's also petunia and salvia. Obviously those are just going to get pulled and tossed. So
you bring clippers in, we probably should cut them.
Well, let me pull this out first. There's nothing to it. Yeah. The salvia is just completely tangled up in the canna. That is not going to be easy. This canna over here is a little bit smaller, so I'm not sure if that's going to be easy to get out either. All right, new plan of action. We're going to go get clippers. We're going to just take all the foliage off and then dig the cannas out of these containers. So I'm going to go around front and get a pair of clippers. All right, my husband thinks he's going to be Conan the Barbarian and just try to get this out. So this is the smaller one, and he's going to have at it. We did buy new soil for these containers too, weeks ago. So that if we needed it, if too much came out with the cannas, it probably needs to be replaced anyway.
It's got more coming up. This whole thing is one big.
Wouldn't it be nice to have a greenhouse to do all this stuff in so you didn't have to make a mess in your beds? Fortunately, we do have some extra mulch. We have to come over and cover all the mess we're making. Obviously, we're going to have a lot more cannas next year, too. I mean, there's 2 new ones. I only planted 1. I don't know about where you live, but in southeastern Pennsylvania, especially up here, and as you go out towards Lancaster County, a lot of people like to plant them in their, just right in the ground, like along fence lines. The Amish actually like to plant these up against their houses and stuff. That's not a look I'm going for. So if we end up with, I don't know, 6 or 7 cannas out of each one of these, I don't know what I'm going to do with them. So that's one done. Most of the dirt has been taken off of the tubers, and then we'll let these dry. Still got to get that other beast out. Got the second one out. It was quite a beast. We just ended up pulling the whole thing out of the container. So, yeah, there's tons of cannas in here. Like I said, not sure what I'm going to do with all these cannas in the spring. Okay. Alright guys, the next thing I think we're going to do is we're going to get the cabbages. I'm not sure if they're cabbages or kale actually, but whatever they are, we're going to get those planted in the 2 concrete urns out front where we just took the impatiens and a couple of caladiums out, and then we're going to get the boxwoods in the frost-free containers where we just took the cannas out of, and I'll show you the plants right now. So these are the plants over here. We've kind of had this little installation just to kind of dress up this area since we did not get to expanding this garden bed and changing it this year. So we have the 2 pretty kale, cabbage, not sure what they are, and then we have 2 New Gen Freedom boxwoods that will eventually get planted into the landscape, but this is what is going in the containers. So it's a coral queen flowering kale, sun to part shade, which it'll get here. So this will go all through the winter. Cabbages and kales are cold hardy. My only concern is that these concrete urns are not as deep as the root ball. We'll see. I already cleaned them up a little bit. We've had these for quite some time sitting out back. A lot of the leaves, the lower parts, have gotten a little bit crunchy, but I cleaned them up. I'm gonna have to take some of the soil out from here. We'll see if we got all the caladiums out. Pretty sure we did. Buy anything to go in here with these because these cabbages are so large. I really like this one. This one is a little less full. I tried to get this one to face the best direction. They will turn towards the sun. That's kind of why they're not facing forward at the moment anyway, because they were turning towards the sun in the back. But I really love the color of these. Just going to get them watered in and move on to the boxwoods. exactly what I didn't want to happen. But also what I want to do is get the rest of the broalia out. If you remember, I think in our last video, we pulled the broalia out on the other side of the bed. Because the ones over there, for some reason, were looking pretty drab. I'm going to be starting our garden cleanup, so I just want to get these out. I think that's a maple.
It is.
These really did not root in over the summer. I mean, all that foliage and gorgeous blooms, very little root structure. All right, so everything's done. I just want to take a quick walk up to the top wall, see how the boxwoods turned out. Yeah, I think they turned out fine. You know, not quite the pop or the texture difference that we would have up there had we planted some, you know, more cabbages or kales or pansies or something would take us through winter. But those boxwoods needed to be overwintered. Those are 2 frost-free containers we had free, so that's why we put those up there. Now the last thing I want to do is talk to you a little bit about the caladiums and the cannas. All right, if you've ever saved dahlias, caladiums and cannas are very similar. You saw us dig these out of the ground. They've been drying, I want to say for about a week in the garage, but really they need to dry without the dirt on them. So really what you want to do to store these is just get them really, really clean of all the dirt. You want to take all the foliage off. You kind of want to store these in a condition as if you were just buying them fresh, right? So they should kind of look like clean, free of dirt, free of foliage. And then you want to store them in a cool, dark place. I store mine in my basement in a cardboard box. Every once in a while I go down, check on them, maybe spray them so that they don't dry out completely. And that's really all you need to do. And then next year you want to plant them up in enough time so that you have them for spring. So that's basically it. Again, if you've ever stored dahlias, all kinds of tubers are pretty much the same. So the cannas and the caladiums, pretty much the same. Dry them, store them, plant them up early enough so that, you know, by May you have foliage. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for coming along, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Bye.